Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.
Welcome to Parenting in the 21st Century. I'm Zina Shevchik. Our guest today is Fran Foley, headmaster of St. Gregory School in Loudonville. We'll be talking about single-sex education today. Thank you very much for coming today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
First question.
Yes, ma'am.
What is a headmaster?
A headmaster. Well, a headmaster is no different than the principal of any school. But a headmaster, the origin of it is from English times. The public schools in England, which are equivalent to our private schools here in the United States, all the teachers are referred to as masters. Oh. And the top one, or the one that coordinated the whole program, was referred to as the headmaster. And the independent schools of the United States adopted that terminology. Lately, though, since I guess originally all the headmasters were male, now and then they became headmistresses, and then they decided they don't like that term either, so now they're head of school would be a common term too.
So how do the boys in St. Gregory's refer to you? Mr. Foley?
Mr. Foley.
Mr. Foley. Yeah. So that solves a lot of the problems.
That solves all the problems.
There we go. So tell us about St. Gregory's, which is just down the road from us here in the library's taping room, about its history, its mission.
Okay, fine. St. Gregory's School was started in 1962 by 9 families in the North Colonie area, South Colonie area. Many of them are still here in the area. They started the school for their sons. They wanted an all-boys school that would challenge them academically, give them basics in the Christian Catholic faith, educate them to be whole men, to be charitable, to be a lover of the arts, and also to participate in athletics. So they wanted a well-rounded individual at the end. The purpose was to have them be successful in the secondary schools, whether it be public high schools or private schools in the area, and to be leaders in the community eventually. And I'm pleased to say that several of our alumni are leaders in our community. I don't want to embarrass them today by announcing their names, but they are leaders in the community and everyone will know who they are. It has become an all-boys school and it stayed an all-boys school. Over the years, there's always interest in, can our daughters continue on? Because we have girls in nursery, pre-K, and K. I would like to say it was for a greater reason than it is. I think the primary reason it was done was for convenience for the families who had children in the school already. Younger sisters were allowed to stay through those grades, but 1 through 8 remains and still started as all boys. Every 10 years or so, we investigate that.
About whether or not to include girls?
Yes. Around 3 or 4 years ago, we did that again. And it was interesting. I think for the parents voted, it was 50-50. I think if a faculty voted, it'd be 50-50. And so we determined that there wasn't a resounding tone to go to make it co-ed. So we decided to remain all boys. And since then, I become more fascinated and interested in all boys schools. I sometimes wonder if I would have enjoyed school more myself if I had gone to an all boys school. There's a feel to it that you don't get, and it's not I don't know if it's a better feel or not. I don't want to say that, but my children have gone to co-ed schools. I went to co-ed schools, worked at co-ed schools.
Oh.
So, but there's the boys really they get different things than we ordinarily would. A lot of it, I think, is based upon social pressure. Yeah, pressure from the opposite sex, even though I don't know if they're intentionally doing it or not. In an all-boys school, they can go into art, they sing. They do well academically.
things that maybe they would be pressured as
Not
being
cool.
unmasculine
Right,
or
right,
not
right.
cool.
You're a good athlete, so therefore you do not have to study.
Right.
Those kinds of old stereotypes that come creeping up. But we put on a Christmas program every year that to me is the highlight of the Christmas season. A lot of families, I think of it that way too. And all the boys in the schools participate. Some will sing solos, some will play flutes, some will play the cello. I mean, they all participate. We're small. See, we only have around 160 boys.
160 boys in grades.
Nursery through 8th grade.
Okay.
So everyone has to participate in order to make it work.
Right, right.
And they all do. They're very successful in athletic events.
So they really come out well-rounded.
They really do. Yep.
Do most of the boys who start? I mean, well, how do I say that? Do most of your boys begin and go through the whole program, or do a lot of them come in 3rd, 4th grade, and other grades?
More and more. It seems like they're staying all the way through to the 8th grade. Probably 70% started when they're 3 years old. So now I've been there for 10 years, so I know.
You know that.
I know.
You really
I
are
knew the
a
present
family.
8th grade when they were 3. So.
You really are a family.
Yes,
then.
very much so.
So.
And all those teachers know everybody, and all the boys know all the teachers. So it becomes a family, a very, very close family.
How much do you think it's the smallness that contributes to the success of your students versus the fact that it's single-sex education? Do you think that well, I know it's a big question, isn't it? Give me a percentage. Go ahead. Yeah. I just wonder if it's, my children went to a very, very large school, a public school. And I felt that the parents, you really had to be an advocate for your child for them to be successful. They were very successful, but we were very involved in their education. And I'm just wondering if in a smaller school, maybe we wouldn't have had to be involved as much as we were. Not that that's a bad thing, but I think small class size, to me, is a really important, and I'm not an educator.
Okay.
To me, small class size is really critical. And I don't know, I'm asking you as an educator if you also think that that's a critical factor.
Okay, you really asked a lot of questions. In that
You
one
know that, well, you know.
I will
yeah.
answer all of them.
Okay. You can tell me your personal opinion, you
All right.
can tell me your professional opinion, and both, neither.
I hope I answer all those little parts. I think we could comfortably have 20 more students spread throughout all those grades, 20 or more. And I don't think it would I'm going to use the term flavor of the school.
Okay.
I think that is one of the things that the faculty and I have worked very hard at. We have a great tone to it. The boys feel very comfortable. Parent involvement is there also.
Okay.
We encourage it. We have to, and we strive on it. We'd like constant communication. We want to know if we're doing the right thing, at least, and they can come through me and find out if I'm doing the right thing. And we want to let them know how their son is doing, so that there are no surprises at the end of a marking period. Every once in a while that doesn't work, but for the most part it does. I'm trying to think of all the other things.
No, that's fine. I think that it's attention to, it sounds to me like to every boy is what's important. And that means a lot of parental as well as teacher involvement is
Right.
what I'm hearing you say.
Right, and it's increased over the years. When I first arrived at St. Gregory's, and that was 10 years ago, I would say there are 10 present faculty members who came that same year with me. So there was, each of us didn't have a sense of history of the school. And we now, as we've been able to watch boys grow, there will be a boy maybe in the 2nd grade who reminds them of someone who has moved on into what we call the upper school, grades 5 through 8. And they'll want to know, the faculty member will come to me and say, how is that particular student doing? Because I have a future one right here with me, or present one who reminds me very much of him. And what's he doing and how has he succeeded? And they feel successful when they hear it. He has been very successful and less concerned. Now they can work with this guy.
I
boy
mean,
and
that
see.
whatever
Right.
they did was right.
Right, they did was right, and that it can work for this boy too. So that is fun to see. It's also fun at graduation when we have classes of anywhere from 12 to 20 graduate, and the faculty know each one of those boys
Yes.
now.
That's very special.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is. So why do you think your boys succeed in the single gender environment? What factors are at play?
Basically, when they come to us, they're 3.
Yeah.
All right, so there's no really way of
Is that the best way for it to start, do you
well,
think?
I think so.
Okay, go ahead.
If they come in at 3 and they go through our nursery, pre-K, and K, what we do too with boys, we take them. They have to be 3. They have to be 3 by August 31st to be in the pre-K and K, and so when they have to be 5 by August 31st to be in kindergarten. So in comparison to other school districts around here, they're around 5 months older.
Right.
History has shown us that for boys, those 5 months make a big, big difference. Before, we were talking about young boys in a public school setting where there's a class of 20, and they'll put them next to calm girls so that hopefully the boys can imitate that nice behavior.
Right.
Well, boys by nature just don't do that. And what we found is that if we incorporate physical activity into the day, we find the greater success academically. We have recess every morning at 10 o'clock. Everybody goes outside, runs around. We have a recess after lunch. They may also have PE in the afternoon, physical education in the afternoon, so there's more activity. Also, I think they're successful as they move through, because at each grade level, the demands to sit increase.
Right.
So a kindergartner doesn't have to sit like a 5th grader. And a 1st grader is supposed to sit a little more than a kindergartner. The 2nd grader, I mean, we still have boys that I will see going to the water fountain every hour.
Have to get up.
They just have to get up
Yeah.
and move. I was in one class and the boy just got up and walked over the pencil sharpener, and he must have done it 5 times. The teacher said he just needs that. If he does that, it makes the day better. They also eat a great deal. You know, we do a lot of snacks.
Grazing. Yes.
Grazing. Okay, and healthy foods, so that it just keeps their attention going. And I'm very fortunate that I have faculty members who understand what boys need, whether or not they have sons in particular, but they've learned and they have just have a sense or have learned what boys need and really accommodate their special needs. It's people always say, how's it different? You have to come and see it. It's
and I assume that means that you're very open to people coming to
see it, yes.
visit and inquire about the different environment, because there is a different. There has to be a very different environment.
It is. And they all wear uniforms.
The public schools.
Right.
I'm a big proponent. Oh, yes, I am.
They all have
Even
blue
in
shirts and
the
red
public
and blue striped ties and
Yeah.
gray pants and.
Because I think, as a parent, certainly, as I said again, I'm not an educator. As a parent, I've seen the distractions that are in a school day, and it's best to get rid of as many distractions as possible. And if that means the opposite sex, I can see how that might work for some people. So are most parents who come looking for a spot in St. Gregory's, do they already have an idea of why they think their child would be best served in a all-boys school, or are they have they known other people who've had success?
That's usually the way it happens. It's other families have said to them, they'll be talking about their son, and they say, you ought to go look at St. Gregory's. Our son went there and he had a great experience, and so they'll come down and take a look. The all-boy part two really affects the reading. I know I'm jumping off on a
No,
different
no,
place,
no,
but,
that's good, that's good. I understand that.
The boys by nature do not like to read. All right.
You think it's because they have to sit still?
They have to sit still. It demands their ability to listen, their ability to logical think. I hate to admit it, falls behind the females. Okay, so boys are like a year or two behind. Now you can do this. I invited you over on Halloween, and you watch them, the boys and girls in the younger grades, those pre-K, early childhood program part, walk around and have their parade of costumes, and then go and stand someplace and have to have a group picture. The girls will stand right in front and stare right at the camera. And the boys, as soon as you get someone to pay attention, another one has to get called in to pay attention. They're looking all around. This is just great fun standing outside looking all around for them. So their ability, that also affects their interest in reading, the ability to sit there and pay attention. So I think if you asked me what would be the hallmarks of kindergarten through 4 and then the hallmarks of 5 through 8, I would say in K through 4, it'd be the reading program, that the way the faculty has tweaked it. Not a very educational term, but they've created a program that is of interest to boys. They read about pirates. They read about dragons. They read about action stories. They don't want to sit and read and
about
classes.
relationships.
Right. They're not interested in that. They also include in that Despero, the movie that's out about the mouse. All right, they read that book. I was in the class just a little while ago, and I was asking what the boys were doing. They were creating their own Desperos out of clay. So in that kind of, if we read this book, we're going to do some arts and crafts. We're going to do that. It gets them closer to the story. I've seen them also, the Eric Carle stories that are familiar with children, and the graphic design that he has incorporated. They will read those stories, and then the boys will actually paint scenery that is similar to Eric Carle's, and then write a story that goes along with it. So it's more than just sitting there and reading a book. It's creating your own. It's drawing your own. It's using physical qualities to get the boys to read, and it works. And by the time then they get to 5th grade, then we go into technology, and every boy in the school in grades 5 through 8 has a laptop computer.
Oh, okay. That's great. That's wonderful.
And people, see, I'm one of those people that I think, let's give them the laptop computer. If anything bad happens, we'll fix that. But the pros to having it far outweigh with the concerns, I think, on the other side. And it took 1 week or less that the 5th graders realized that they could instant message the girls at Holy Names during the daytime. So we had to curtail that. So, but they use them. It's great for reference work in history. They can do their papers on it.
Right. I mean, it's also reading.
They're hooked right up into our internet. We don't use the library for grades 5 through 8 anymore. They go right to the internet and find all the information.
You're not supposed to tell that to a librarian.
I'm sorry. I forgot about the but they use these things, and it comes out to be a very valuable tool for them. And that is going to be the way of the future. I mean, if we don't have them be technologically sound, they're not going to go very far. I mean, it's just the way the world is now.
Right. Whether we like it or not.
Right,
that's it, right.
And what I would like to do is eventually, maybe someday, I don't know if it ever happened while I'm in my present position, but I would like to introduce them to Mandarin Chinese. I'm a great advocate of Dan Pink,
No, don't
A
know.
Whole New Brain.
No.
Talks about, it's kind of timely too, he talks about the American industry, and that what Americans have done is they're very good at the technological side in creating the left side of the brain, but they've avoided using the right side of the brain, which now in the car industry problem would be the cars are not attractive to Americans, so they don't buy them. But it's just the car, just like the Europeans and the Japanese cars that they think are attractive, and they buy those. So America's got to get back to using the right side of the brain in order to become a prosperous and constructive nature again. The whole brain, whole people, right.
Whole man.
And I also think too, we ought to introduce Mandarin Chinese.
Because China
Because
is
when
such a
I was
big-
growing up, it was the Russians, but no one ever took Russian.
It's true.
So we never understood the people we were supposedly worried about. And then now we have a problem in Iraq and Iran, but we don't understand the Arabic culture, and very few people speak Arabic. And so
Right.
where do we go? And so I think it's important that in the long range of education, we start looking at the Chinese and dealing with them, because they'll all speak English way before we'll try to
Right,
speak
and
Chinese.
they do.
They do.
And from what I understand, on a timely basis, China owns a substantial
They
part
do.
of
They only had,
our
we may
country
be
right
working
now.
for them also.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, I mean anything that, of course, international, cross-cultural, any contact, any information is, I agree with you, is vital.
We really got way off what we were talking about.
No, not at all. We're fine. We're good. Education. We're talking about education. How many faculty do you have at St. Gregory's?
27, teaching
And-
faculty.
And do you try to have a mix of men and women? Is that an issue? Role modeling, anything like that?
Well, yeah, I do.
try.
I try. We have 17 females and 10 males on the faculty.
So, do any of these faculty have specialized education for teaching single-sex education? Is there such a
No,
thing?
I don't think there is such a
Yeah,
thing.
I don't know.
Most of them, there again, most of them have been with me for a while now, so they've created their own specialized package.
Curriculums,
themselves.
yeah.
Right. The male-female ratio just seems to happen. Most of them, if I can't really say I don't look. I can't. You can't hire just men.
Right.
Right. So that's. But it's. We have a nice balance. Let's put it that way, and it just worked out through the way of nutrition and all that.
How did you get to be? How did you get? What was your path that you took to get to being?
How far we want to go back?
Principal? No. Well, go back to your. You said you attended co-ed schools.
Co-ed through 8th grade, right?
Through 8th grade.
And then there were. I went to a prep school in Connecticut, and at that time they were single sex. It wasn't until mid-'70s or late '70s that they became co-ed. So I went to. Matter of fact, there was a school that's very similar to St. Gregory's. It was a Catholic school run by Catholic lay people. So we weren't affiliated with a parish. We weren't affiliated with a diocese. We operate as a Catholic school, much as St. Gregory's does, with the blessing of the bishop. And so I went to that high school. And I think that is where I really developed an interest in what I'm doing now.
Right.
I had wonderful role models who I don't really remember anything they taught me academically, but they were just very, very good people and very interested in seeing me succeed. And so it kind of got me interested in helping other people succeed. And then I went to a Jesuit college, John Carroll University in Cleveland, Ohio. And I was my English teacher, who was from upstate New York, and that to me, I was from Fairfield County, Connecticut. Upstate New York was like a far, far away land.
Wilderness. Yeah.
Yes, and he gave us a lecture one day in English class about our inability to see beyond the Hudson River. And so my dad told me that I had to go to a Jesuit college, and I had to major in liberal arts, and I could pick the one I wanted to go to, which wasn't a bad choice. They were all so I guess people would question why I ever picked Cleveland, Ohio for my destination, but that's where I wound up, and I had that was an all-male college too, and it's starting to go co-ed while I was there.
Oh, very interesting.
Then I started teaching at an all-boys school, modeled after the Canterbury School in Connecticut, but that school was in Indiana. And then I went to a co-ed schools for a period of time. I went to co-ed schools for around 6 years, or 4 years. And then I went to an all-girls school to be the head of that school.
Ooh, you tried everything.
I did, and then I went back to a co-ed high school, and then here.
And this is what you feel most productive, more effective?
well-
like the atmosphere?
I think I'm probably at the time in my life where I just really want to not worried about where am I going, how am I going to get there, when will it all be over. And yeah, I can take time to enjoy what I'm doing more.
Yes.
That may sound
No,
strange.
no.
I think I am much more aware that it's an all-boys school and the benefits of it, because I reflect on it more and I can see what we can do to make it better for them. But when I was head of an all-girls school, I don't think I had probably the experience or the vision to do that.
Do you think that was a? Do you think that the girls got a good benefit? What were the grades of the all-girls school?
It was very similar to St. Gregory's, is nursery through 8th grade.
Do you think that they had the same benefits, same kind of benefits from being in
but they had a girls' high school attached to that too. So after they left their preschool, they went off. See, I think that's one of our real benefits. We don't have a high school. Most of the high schools that I've been affiliated with, their main goal is to college placement. And the way they're judged is by college placement. We don't have college placement.
And that's a huge pressure.
Yep, and we just train you to be the best you can be no matter where you're going, and it seems to work. And then they all go off to very challenging universities and colleges too as a result.
How many, well, again, I'm asking, I didn't ask you for any, this figure before you came here for the interview, so I'll appreciate it if you can't answer it. I'm just curious how many of your alumni, actually go to co-ed high schools, or how many actually go to single-sex high schools? Are there many? There aren't many. How many are in the area?
In the area. Well, in the area. The public high schools, of course, are co-ed. But if you go to LaSalle, CBA, Albany Academy, they're all male.
Okay, so there's a choice.
And Doane Stewart would be the co-ed one. So that, of all the, I think I got it right, of all the private or independent high schools in this area, in the Capital Region, the only one that is co-ed would be Doane Stewart.
Do you think most of the boys choose
most of
one way or
most
the
of
other?
our boys go to lately have either gone to the all single sex or Sugar or Niskayuna High School or the Colonie High School.
Okay, so there's a mix.
There's a mix, and they
Succeed.
they succeed.
Yeah. And that's what counts.
That's what counts, and we're very proud of them.
Do you see an increase in the interest for all, same gender education?
That was I saw that you were going to ask me that question, and I tried to come up with an answer. And I don't. It's hard for me to answer. I don't know if people come to me because they already know
Yes.
it's single sex and they would like to do it. We've in the past year, it's only a calendar year, we've had 2 speakers come to talk about single-sex education. One last spring was Dr. Leonard Sachs, who spoke about it, and this past fall we had Michael Thompson, who spoke about all boys. So we're trying to make the community aware of single-sex education, and we've had a tremendous response to these talks. The last one, Michael Thompson, drew over 400 people, and I asked at the beginning of the, I don't know if you happen to go.
No.
At the beginning of the Michael's presentation, I asked how many were actually from the St. Gregory's community, and there were only about 100 hands that went up. So we had over 300 people they were coming from that Tamarack Hills School, quite a distance, and we very much appreciated it. And I think it helped just introduce people who weren't aware of it before.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking you is because of the myself as a librarian. I'm aware of more literature, more research being published. At least they're in the public domain. Maybe
Right.
some of it's been there before, and it just hasn't made it out to the public. The research about brain development differences. It's when I was in college, it was. You couldn't say that men and women had different brains. It was considered, the wrong thing to suggest that men and women were different and had different abilities. And the pendulum is swinging where I think what I see in the media is an attempt to actually define the differences and to acknowledge that there are differences in brain development, not just between men and women, but lots of other races or whatever. And it's more objective analysis than I think there was 40 years ago. And so that's one of the reasons I wanted to have this conversation, was because I'd seen more and more literature about the differences between boys and girls' brain development in the beginning, when they're young. And so I thought maybe if I was aware of it, then other people would be more aware of it too. And
that continues, though.
Yeah.
'Cause I think, I may be wrong on this, but I think the male's brain does not fully develop till he's around 27, whereas the female's is around 22.
Yeah, and I've only seen when they're talking about teenagers' brains now, and how they're talking. I've seen it in terms of their driving, making decisions about automobiles, and how they're really not fully mature until 21, 22. But I haven't seen that. See, that I hadn't seen that yet. That male brains might be a little bit more behind than the females. So
you've always known that.
No. No, I don't want to say that. No, I think I grew up in a time when women were fighting for equality, whatever that involves, and I think that our culture, in my opinion, has made huge strides. I mean, I just raised 2 daughters, and they certainly have had every opportunity that any male child has had in our culture. And so, now is the time to, it certainly is overdue maybe, to assess the differences. So to better, sorry, I'm becoming a mouth.
That's right.
So we can hone better the individualized instruction for children of all ages, races, and genders. So how's that for a speech?
That's very good.
So before we end, and I really appreciate your coming here, is there anything you would like to elaborate on or emphasize or add about St. Gregory's, or about single gender education, or education in general?
Well, if any parent has any concerns about their son and would like to discuss them, would like to come visit me, I'd be happy, very pleased to have them come, to show them what we do on a daily basis, and to show them the spirit and the life of the school. It's very difficult for me to explain that. It starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't end till around 6 o'clock at night. We have they arrive from, I'm guessing around 15 different school districts. The building is pristine when they walk in at 8 o'clock. By 8:10, you know that it's been occupied by a number of boys. It isn't uncommon to open your locker and everything falls out. You find your clothes for the week that have been stuffed in there, or old lunches, and it's just, and then they move about and go to class, and they move quickly and with a great, and there's a lot of fun. I mean, they'll smile and they laugh and they joke, and they're not all saints. Sometimes they pick on each other and all those other things that go on, but we have a staff that is sensitive to that and tries to tell them, we have to treat each other with respect. We encourage them to participate in art and music and athletics. We encourage them to be everything they want to be. And there's someone there on the faculty who can help them lead the way. I am very fortunate, and I keep telling them that, and they probably think I don't mean it, but I sincerely mean it, that the school, I am here now and school is going on. I have no worry about the school going on, because I'm surrounded by excellent professionals who will do everything that I know is right, and they just do it. And the boys understand that. I think one of the things they understand is that they are liked. Every boy in the building knows that he is liked, and that there is someone that's there to make sure that he's taken care of, and that he's going to learn, and he's going to enjoy the experience, and he is going to be able to develop fully. One of the things that I am proud of, most of the coaches in our school are faculty members, and we have a policy that no one gets cut. Mm-hmm. If we need to create another team, we create another team, and we'll get someone else to volunteer to coach it. I believe that this may be some of these boys' only opportunity to play on an interscholastic team. And so I want to give them that opportunity and find the success that they can get from that. As a result, it's really amazing. We play at schools that are much larger than us. I mean, we have 12 boys in the 8th grade, and they still play against Shaker Junior High. And they run in the spring, in the fall, they have cross-country meets. And for the last 2 years, even though they're unofficial scoring, our boys that come have won those, and or have had the #1 runner. And they do the same thing in basketball and in soccer. And I think it's because in the basketball now we do it by grade. We have a 5th grade team, a 6th grade team, a 7th grade team, an 8th grade team. We even have a 4th grade team and a 3rd grade learn how to play team. And they play so long together. It's like a family, and they know, and they support each other. And I see them. We have a tradition every year before Thanksgiving vacation that the 8th grade plays the faculty in the basketball game. Well, this may be the only hiring policy I have, because we have faculty members who the phys ed teacher was a point guard at St. Rose. He was a very successful one, and the 8th grade basketball coach is Roger Powers, and he was the all-time leading scorer at St. Rose, and is also in their Hall of Fame. And so he comes out and has been a 2-time All-American, and he plays basketball against the low 7th. But one of this year's highlight for me of that game was not that we continue to be undefeated as faculty, but that one of the students who doesn't play on the team, but played in this particular game, that one of the boys who's on the team kept passing the ball to him so he could make a basket, and he did. Oh. And it was, I mean, they got beyond, we have to win this game, to let's include this young man into our program and make him feel like he succeeded in that. So it was a nice thing to see.
That's a great testimonial. And I really thank you for taking the time out of your very busy day to come and talk to us.
It's very nice of you to have me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us, Parenting in the 21st Century.